call this meeting to order. It's 6:30 on Monday, October the 28th, and this is the regular meeting of the Municipal Council of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal for the month of October. Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder if I could ask you to just stand for one moment with me in a minute of silent remembrance for our friend Larry Dishaw, former reeve of the village of Cardinal from 1994 to the year 2000, and also served as mayor of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal from 2006 to 2010. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Second item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Chair calls on Mayor Deschamps, or Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter. The Municipal Council approves the agenda as presented.
You've heard the motion. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item number 3 on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Are there any disclosures here this evening?
None.
Chair notes no disclosures of pecuniary interest. The minutes will so reflect. Item number 4 on the agenda, delegations and presentations. We have none this evening. I'm moving to item number 5 on the agenda, which is approval of various minutes that have taken place during the last month. Special meeting of September the 23rd, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of the special meeting 3 p.m. dated September 23rd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes of that special meeting? Or any questions arising therefrom?
No.
Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Special meeting of September the 23rd at 5 p.m. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron that the Municipality Council receives and approves the minutes of the special meeting 5 p.m. dated September 23rd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes? Business arising therefrom? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Regular meeting of September the 23rd, Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cameron, that the Municipal Council receives and approves the minutes of the regular meeting dated September 23rd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Are there any errors or omissions in the minutes? I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And there was a public meeting for the rezoning of 9 Spencer Street. Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cameron, that the Municipal Council receives the minutes of the public meeting rezoning of 9 Spencer Street dated October 23rd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Those in favor of the motion, please signify.
Aye.
Motion is carried. And item number 6 on the agenda is business arising from the previous council meeting. That was the regular meeting of September the 23rd. Was there any business, or did anyone have anything to bring forward from that meeting? Hearing none, I'm about to move to item 7 on the agenda. Item number 7 on the agenda is the approval of various committee meetings that were held during the month. 7A is the committee meeting, Administration and Finance of September the 9th. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Counselor John Hunter, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance meeting dated September 9th, 2019.
Thank you very much. These were the minutes we had asked to have them amended. They have been so amended. Are there any questions? Okay, about to call the question on those minutes, on the receiving those minutes. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And then the Port Management Committee of September 25th, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. Again, Mr. Mayor, it's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council receives the minutes of the Port Management Committee meeting dated September 25th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Questions, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. Thank you. 7C, the Community Development Committee, Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Counselor John Hunter, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting dated October 7th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Committee of the Whole Meeting Administration and Finance, Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cameron, that the municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance meeting dated October 15th, 2019.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. 7E, Committee of the Whole Public Works meeting, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities meeting dated October 21st, 2019.
Now, I am going to call a question on these minutes as presented, but I just want to make note of one factor that is not outlined in the minutes in a very strong way. So I draw your attention to page 3 of 5, and on page 3 of 5 at question, it's item number 7, and it's item number 7777D. And 7D, the committee received the third quarter recreation facility stats report. And I'm just drawing council's attention and the public attention to the fact that during the discussion of that facility stats report, council learned, and the committee learned, that 10% of the September-October prime ice time went unrented. And just think that that is a rather significant factor. I would have liked to have seen it reflected in the minutes, but it certainly does show on the report that we received at 7D of that committee meeting. So I'm about to call a question on the minutes, unless there's further discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And I'm at item 8 on the agenda, and item 8A is a request for private dock access Romaine. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council, 1, authorize staff to execute a license agreement with Michael and Nicola Romaine to permit construction of and access to a dock located immediately south of their property at 10 Flett Street. 2, direct staff to develop a policy and bylaw to be used in similar situations in the future, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Admin and Finance.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor, fully discussed at the committee meeting. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, about to call a question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And item number 8B, AMO report to the Attorney General, liability and insurance. Counselor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councilor Cameron. Whereas the provincial government has requested detailed information from municipalities regarding their insurance costs, coverage, deductibles, claim history, and out-of-court settlements. And whereas the municipalities have been busy responding to a long list of provincial consultations on a wide range of topics, where some of the above information being sought is more easily supplied by the insurance company industry. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal hereby supports the Association of Municipalities of Ontario and its submission to the Attorney General entitled Towards a Reasonable Balance, addressing growing municipal liability and insurance costs report. And further, that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal endorses AMO's recommendation to address these issues as follows. 1. The provincial government adopt a model of full proportional liability to replace joint and several liability. Implement enhancement to the existing limitations period, including the continued application of the existing 10-day rule on slip and fall cases given recent judicial interpretations and where a 1-year limitation period may be beneficial. Implement a cap of economic loss awards. Increase the catastrophic impairment default limit of $2 million and increase the third-party liability coverage to $2 million in the government-related automobile insurance plans. 5. Access and implement additional measures which would support lower premiums or alternatives to provide the insurance service by other entitled, such as non-profit insurance reciprocals. 6. Compel the insurance industry to supply all necessary financial evidence, including premiums, claims, and deductible limit charges, which support its and municipal arguments as to the fiscal impact of joint and several liability. 7. Establish a provincial and municipal working group to consider the above and put forward recommendations to the Attorney General.
Do that again.
You generally get that.
That's usually me.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Basically our response to the government's request on input of the implications of joint and several liability. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Basically, we're supporting AMO's submission, which is basically going to be our position. And I'm moving now then to item 8C on the agenda, shared services, Chief Building Official, Edwardsburg Cardinal Augusta Prescott, Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor John Hunter, that Municipal Council direct staff to begin the work of development of an agreement with the Township of Augusta and the Town of Prescott to provide building and bylaw services to the residents of the 3 municipalities as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Administration, and Finance.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And for the benefit of the folks here, we're trying to put together a group that will provide building services, chief building official services for the entire Augusta, Prescott, Edwardsburg Cardinal region. 8D on the agenda is the 2020 Capital Fire Department Rescue Truck. Councilor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councilor Cameron. Municipal Council, 1, provide 2020 pre-budget approval and award the Fire Department rescue truck to the Slave Industries at a cost of $338,688, excluding non-rebated HST. And 2, direct staff to execute the required documents as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the table. Discussion, if any. Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And item number 8E on the agenda is the engineer's report for the JRDR municipal drain. Councilor Cameron.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Dillabaugh, that Municipal Council, 1, receive the Section 78 Amendment Engineers Report for the James Riley DeWitt Richter Municipal Drain dated and filed on October 15th, 2019 by Robinson Consultants, Inc. And 2, direct the clerk to send a notice of meeting to consider the report on Monday, November 18th, 2019 at 6 p.m. to all owners that form part of the drain, as recommended by the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor, well discussed at the committee meeting. Further discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And so that public meeting to consider the report will be on November the 18th. And proceeding now to item 8F on the agenda, the Scooten Branch Maintenance. Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councillor Cameron, that the Municipal Council award the Scotland Municipal Drain Cleanout Project to Lloyd McMullen Equipment Limited in the amount of $32,375 plus non-rebated HST based on the recommendation of the Greer Galway Group as recommended by Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services, and Facilities.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And item 8G on the agenda, the Port Investments. Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Councillor Cameron, that the Municipal Council, 1, direct the Treasurer to reinvest in Dominion Securities Portfolio Scotiabank 1-year GIC and a 14 to 18 months GIC at the best rate available, and 2, direct that the monies currently invested in the Royal Bank of Canada account currently earning 2.20% remain in the Royal Bank of Canada account at prime less 1.75% as recommended by the Port Management Committee.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Further discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And item 8H on the agenda, Waterfront Improvement Subcommittee Appointment. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh. Whereas the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal appointed Deputy Mayor Deschamps and Councillor Dillabaugh to the Cardinal Waterfront Improvement Subcommittee at its regular meeting held on September 23rd, 2019. And whereas Deputy Mayor Deschamps is unable to continue his appointment on the Cardinal Waterfront Improvement Subcommittee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, 1, removes Deputy Mayor Deschamps from the Cardinal Waterfront Improvement Subcommittee and appoints Councillor Hugh Cameron to the Cardinal Waterfront Improvement Subcommittee.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Now that includes the action and information items coming forward from the committee, meetings held during the past month. I'm proceeding to item number 9 on the agenda, which is the correspondence, receipt of the correspondence. And so I'll call on Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Hugh Cameron that the Municipal Council receives the correspondence listing for the following dates at periods circulated. September 26, 2019, October 3rd, 2019, October 10th, 2019, October 18th, 2019, and October 24th, 2019.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And now I'm proceeding to item number 10 on the agenda, which is approval of the municipal disbursement sheets. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that the Municipal Council approves payment of the municipal invoices circulated and dated as follows. Report dated September 23rd, 2019. 2019-00193 in the amount of $4,567.32. Report dated October 2nd, 2019, 2019-00196 in the amount of $22,464.66. Report dated October 24th, 2019, 2019-00213 in the amount of $59,954.89. Report dated October 24th, 2019, 2019-00214 in the amount of $294,320.25. Report dated October 25th, 2019, 2010-00215 in the amount of $670,848.37 for a total of $1,052,155.49.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any. Hearing none. Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried. Thank you. And now I'm on to item number 11 on the agenda, which is a number of bylaws that are going to be coming forward tonight. And just so that there's folks here that don't understand the process, our procedural bylaw indicates that we can provide 3 readings of the bylaw at the same meeting. Provided that first and second reading receive unanimous approval, we can proceed to third reading at the same meeting. So you'll hear each bylaw basically being dealt with twice if they all receive unanimous approval at the first meeting. So I'm calling on first bylaw is 11A, which is a site plan control agreement for Electronic Language Communication Ltd. Limited. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Hugh Cameron that the mover be granted leave to introduce the bylaw that authorize an execution of site plan control agreement with Electronic Language Communication Limited, and this shall constitute first, second reading thereof.
First and second reading on the floor. Discussion, if any. Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. It can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron that the bylaw that authorize the execution of site plan control agreement with Electronic Language Communication Limited be now read the third time, finally passed, signed, sealed, numbered 2019-60.
Third reading of the bylaw. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Bylaw number 11B, appoint a temporary interim building official. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Yeah, that one's me. Just one quick question. I just realized on the approval of the disbursements. On the last one that I read, it was 2010-00215. It's just clerical, right? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so back to me. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to appoint an interim chief building official, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Now, discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? The motion is carried unanimously. The bylaw can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Steve Dillabaugh, that a bylaw to appoint an interim chief building official be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-61.
Those in favor, please signify. Motion is carried, and with this bylaw now receiving third reading, we've appointed Dwayne Crawford as the interim chief building official for the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, effective with the passing of this bylaw. And now I'm proceeding to 11D, which is an expense reimbursement policy. Councillor Hunter. I missed one, okay. C, amend bylaw 2018-28 to appoint an alternate building inspector. Counselor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-28 to appoint building inspectors for the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. The bylaw can proceed to third reading.
Yes, thank you again. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter that a bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-28 to appoint building inspectors for the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-62.
Thank you very much. Those in favor of the bylaw, third reading? Motion is carried again. And with the passage of this bylaw, council has appointed Sean Merriman as a building inspector for the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal to act on behalf of the chief building official in his or her absence. Proceeding now to the expense reimbursement policy, 11D. Councillor Hunter.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to establish rules for reimbursement of eligible expenses of members of council and municipal staff, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor of first and second reading? Passes unanimously. The bylaw can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that a bylaw to establish rules for reimbursement of eligible expenses of members of council and municipal staff be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-63.
Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried again. The new policy comes into effect with its passing. And item number 11E, collection of garbage and waste bylaw. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to provide the collection of garbage and other waste materials, and that shall constitute first, second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. Now, any further discussion on this?
Could I just ask a question for clarification, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
I'll direct through the chair, I'll direct this to staff. And staff, I hope you can answer my question. I came across a piece of recycled material, and the code on it was 04. Do you know if that is a new code, or would that be classified as code 4, which we have here?
I don't have the answer to that. Councillor Cameron, Director of Operations?
Unfortunately, I don't have that answer at this time.
We can research that for you.
That would be great, thank you.
So I guess the nub of the question is 04 the same as 4?
Yeah, that's the nub of the question, exactly. Yes, thank you, staff, for that.
Okay, so I have first and second reading in front of me. Those in favor of approving first and second reading? Motion is carried unanimously. Can proceed now to third reading.
Moved by myself and seconded by Hugh Cameron, that the bylaw to provide for the collection of garbage and other waste material be now read a third time, finally passed, signed, sealed, numbered 2019-64.
Third reading, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And just by way of explanation, council found it necessary to introduce and pass this bylaw because of some problems that we were having with folks putting their garbage out early, and the problems that it was causing with wild animals getting into it and distributing it in the landscape. So now and there are a few other factors involved as well. Now I'm at item number 11F on the agenda, which is the adoption of a winter maintenance level of service policy. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Cameron, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to adopt winter maintenance level of service policy. This shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Again, these bylaws are pretty thoroughly discussed at the committee level, long before they get to this table. Those in favor of the first and second reading? The motion is carried unanimously. The bylaw can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Cameron, that the bylaw adopt a winter maintenance level of service policy be now read a third time, finally passed, signed, sealed, numbered 2019-65.
Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And so if folks would like to know and understand the level of service that we'll provide for winter maintenance this coming winter, this new service policy is now in effect with the passing of this bylaw. It's a public document. And I'm at item number 11G on the agenda. But before I introduce 11G, which is to appoint a chief administrative officer, I don't want to create the impression that we might have two. So I'm about to read a letter which I received today, of which, of course, council has known for some time, and maybe just by way of explanation to the folks in the gallery, there have been a lot of special meetings in the September-October period as we prepared for this meeting tonight. And so this is a letter under the letterhead of Deborah McKinstry, Post Office Box 283, Spencerville, and it's dated October 25th, addressed to the Mayor and Council, Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal. Dear Mayor Sale and members of Council, please accept my letter of resignation as the Chief Administrative Officer for the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, effective October the 28th, 2019. This resignation is offered in support of Council's approved succession plan, which will see Dave Grant appointed as the new Chief Administrative Officer effective the same date. Also, in accordance with the approved succession plan, I will retain the title of clerk at the current salary of Step 6 on Level 8 on the 35-hour workweek grid, Bylaw 2015-22 as amended, and it's signed by Deborah McKinstry. And I'd like to say that on behalf of myself and council, it is with regret that we received this resignation, but we have known for some time that it's been coming, and we have done extensive planning to prepare for it. I'd like to thank Ms. McKinstry for the years that she's served as CAO of the township. I'm not going to wish her goodwill or goodbye because she's not gone yet. She will retain the title of clerk until February the 14th, which is also part of the plan. So thank you very much, Ms. McKinstry, and we do appreciate your services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And so now I can introduce bylaw 11G, which is the bylaw to appoint a chief administrative officer, because we no longer have one. And so I'll call on Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
That one's for me. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to appoint David Grant as Chief Administrative Officer, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
So, first and second reading of the bylaw to appoint Mr. Grant as CAO of the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal. Those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. Please proceed to third reading of the bylaw.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Steve Dillabaugh, that a bylaw to appoint David Grant as the Chief Administrative Officer be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-66.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And congratulations to Mr. Grant, who now becomes our new Chief Administrative Officer with the passage of this bylaw. And we wish him well in his new role.
Turn the camera.
And so we're going to now go to bylaw 11H, which is going to formalize Ms. McKinstry's continuing appointment as clerk of the township. And I'll call on Councillor Hunter for that bylaw.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to appoint Deborah McKinstry as clerk, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. First and second reading of the bylaw. Those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously. The bylaw can proceed to third reading. Thank you.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that a bylaw to appoint Deborah McKinstry as clerk be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-67.
Thank you very much. Third reading. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And again, I just want to reiterate the fact that this was this is not done lightly. There was an awful lot of time spent in negotiation, study, discussion between about August and tonight, leading us to this point. And number 11I, bylaw number 11I, is to amend bylaw 2018-77, which appoints members to boards and committees. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-77 to appoint members and representatives to certain boards and committees, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Looking for first and second reading of this bylaw. Discussion, hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried unanimously, and so the bylaw can proceed to third reading, please.
Yes, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hunter, that a bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-77 to appoint members and representatives to certain boards and committees be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-66. I'm sorry, 68.
Yeah. This is third reading of that bylaw.
That is correct.
Those in favor of the bylaw?
Aye.
Motion is carried, thank you. So, with this bylaw, having now been passed, amends bylaw 2018-77. Bylaw 2018-77 appointed a number of members and representatives to various boards. And with the passage of this bylaw, we have removed Robin Crawford as an advisory member to the Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities Committee of the whole. He's resigned because of work commitments. And we've now appointed Mr. John Bush, who I think is with us this evening. Mr. Bush, congratulations on your appointment. We're looking forward to you joining us at the next meeting of the Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities.
Thank you very much.
And now I'm proceeding then to 11J, which is an amendment of bylaw 2012-35 for Rainville, and I'm calling on Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to amend bylaw 2012-35 as amended 9 Spencer Street, Rainville, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. First and second reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried unanimously. The bylaw can proceed to third reading.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that a bylaw to amend bylaw 2012-35 as amended 9 Spencer Street, Rainville, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-69.
Thank you very much. Third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And so now I'm at 11K, which is a deeming bylaw for Dobie, and I'm calling on Councillor Hunter.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw deeming certain lands within the township of Edgeworth Cardinal not to be within a registered plan of subdivision, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Those in favor, please signify. And the motion is carried unanimously. Now, before proceeding to third reading, I'm just going to point out why we do this way. So I think you can see that on the discussions that we've had this evening, pretty well all the bylaws have received unanimous approval on the way through. But the reason we do it this way is that if some member of council has some reservation about a bylaw, and we do have extensive discussions at the committee level, but sometimes we don't always agree. And sometimes we think we might need more public consultation or public notice of the bylaw. So what our procedural bylaw does is that it gives any member of council the right to vote against the bylaw, therefore it wouldn't have unanimous approval, and that delays the bylaw for 1 month until the next meeting of council. Puts tremendous power in the hands of each individual councillor to disagree, to ask for more time and more study at the committee level. So now, having just given that little explanation, I'll call for third reading of this bylaw, again back to Councillor Hunt.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that a bylaw deeming certain lands within the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal not to be within a registered plan of subdivision be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-70.
Thank you very much. Third reading, those in favor? Motion is carried. And now I'm proceeding to item 11L, which is the bylaw to stop up, close, and convey a road allowance to Dobie. Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to stop up, close, and convey an unopened road allowance, being Catherine Street, north of Harold Street, between Lot 7, pin number 68139-0571, and Lot 8, pin number 68139-0571, on registered plan 15, shows as parts 1 and 2 on plan 15R 12018 in the geographic township of Edwardsburg, Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, County of Grenville, being all of pin 68139-0329, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
And we know exactly what we're talking about. Those in favor of first and second reading? Motion is carried unanimously, and I'm quite serious. We've seen all the drawings, all the maps, all of the pin numbers, and we understand the reasons for it. And proceeding now to third reading of the same bylaw.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that a bylaw to stop up, close, and convey an unopened road allowance, being Catherine Street, north of Harold Street, between Lot 7, pin number 68139-0571, and Lot 8, pin number 68139-0571, on registered plan 15, shown as parts 1 and 2 on plan 15R 12018 in the geographic township of Edwardsburg, Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, County of Grenville, being all of pin 68139-032, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-71.
Thank you very much. And those in favor of third reading? Motion is carried as well. Now that concludes the reading of the bylaws, and I'll proceed now then to item number 9 on the agenda, which is receipt of the correspondence. Now, just for, again, folks that are here tonight, did I forget something?
Yeah,
Number
you-
12.
Pardon? 12. Oh, I forgot something. The CAO's administrative update. Sorry.
That's okay. Did you want me to go through it or just ask for,
Do you want me to
yeah, I
move, go,
think-
please?
pardon me?
No, not yet.
Not yet, thank you.
I think what we'll do is, I'll let you outline your report, and then I'll call for the motion to receive it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's not a great deal new on the report as far as sort of administration goes. We are continuing with economic development, lots and lots of inquiries, lots and lots of meetings. Some of them we'll discuss further in closed session tonight. The official plan unfortunately has had to be delayed until November 25th as a result of the updated floodplain mapping. We're advertising to the public that they should come to an information meeting in the afternoon of the 13th of November. There's no change to the policies, but we do have new mapping as provided by the LIDAR project from South Nation that we're going to add to a schedule, so it seems only fair to make sure people understand that there is a slightly different schedule from what was presented at the public meeting in September.
And this is new mapping of the floodplain.
Yes, yeah. So that will be the afternoon of November 13th, and South Nation will be here to provide information to anybody who has an interest or wishes to get clarification on that. Modernization Fund, we're continuing to have further discussions with our neighbors with respect to that. We have several subjects on the books right now. We're talking about libraries. Well, we haven't got anything new to report on libraries, but it's still on the back burner. Building and bylaw, we understand that Prescott council has agreed with our potential service delivery sharing model there. Augusta has not yet discussed this. The recreation sharing is to be further discussed Wednesday night by our council. I don't believe it's on the agenda for Augusta tonight, but I imagine they will be making some sort of formal resolution at some point in the not too distant future with respect to that. Our service delivery review, our consultant has completed her interviews and information gathering and is now working away at coming up with the results. I understand that the UCLG task force meeting met for the first time on last week on Wednesday, and Mr. Brown will be providing us an update coming out of that meeting. Community Development Committee, coordinator has been working really hard to try and keep our building department operating normally as much as possible, and we are grateful to our neighboring CBOs from Augusta and Elizabethtown Kitley. They've helped us out greatly over the last few weeks as we've worked through this. We do have a couple of extra meetings in November. One is the rezoning for the Adobe property on Ventnor Road. That's Monday, November 11th, ahead of the Admin Finance Committee. And also on November 18th, discussed earlier, we do have that James Riley DeWitt Rector Drain public meeting, also at 6 o'clock with the Committee of the Whole to follow. I did put in a bit of a schedule as far as the Christmas schedule goes, even though it's a bit early yet, but just to give everybody a heads up that we do have to be a bit better organized for December because we are under somewhat of a time constraint. Interim audit is coming the second week of December, which is actually about a month earlier than we are used to seeing, so that probably bodes well for 2020's audit, or the 2019 audit to be delivered early in 2020. We are, as staff, working on the 2020 budget. The treasurer has asked all the managers to have their first draft budgets into her by the end of this month. So we'll start down that path next month. And new on, I think it was Thursday or Friday last week, we received confirmation that the OMPF allocation for the township is reduced by $110,500 for 2020. So that will put additional pressure on the budget deliberations, I'm sure. Recreation, we want to remind everybody that November 24th, there is a major planned power outage in Spencerville in the morning, which will affect Spencerville Arena use. We did have an initial meeting with the Waterfront Revitalization Ad Hoc Committee. We have engaged Joe McFarland and his firm to provide us a couple of concept plans, and the committee is hoping to host a public meeting sometime in late November to present the concept plans and get input. We'll likely try and arrange that meeting for the Cardinal Legion, I think is the appropriate place to have
Yes.
that. So. Roads and sidewalks, we're getting ready for winter as best we can. We are working on trying to figure out how we're gonna do sidewalk plowing in Spencerville. We tendered for it and did not get any response, so Director of Operations and his staff is working hard and trying to figure out what Plan B might be. Brush and leaf pickup, November 12th and 14th, assuming weather permitting. We're still working on that drainage issue at the Ingredient Center. The initial estimates look like that's gonna be more costly than we had anticipated, so it will need to be done in 2020. But committee will see that next month at the Public Works meeting. The berm project at the water plant is done. Everything's pretty much normal operations in environmental services. We do have an inspection, we did have an inspection today. Okay, looking at our chief water sewer operator. Municipal drains, we have the James Riley DeWitt Richter, everybody's heard about that. The Newport drain, which is the one along County Road 2. We've had an initial look at the property plan, the roll number information, we've sent it back to Robinson, so we expect something from them fairly soon. Scott and Branch, as you heard, the clean out has been awarded. Fire department recruitment open house was held October 9th with 6 individuals expressing interest, so those folks will be provided an opportunity to determine whether or not they wish to grow with the fire department. The automatic aid agreements with Prescott and Augusta have been drafted, and we expect to have them back to council pretty soon. We've sort of asked the other 2 municipalities to be taking a look at them at the same time, so we're trying to coordinate that. And the emergency exercise was held the afternoon of October 16th, facilitated by Kevin Spencer. So that's a check off the list of things we need to do to be compliant in 2019. So we're getting there.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to call on Councillor Dillabaugh to put the motion on the floor, and then we'll open the floor for discussion. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron that the Municipality Council receives the CAO's administration report as presented.
Okay, the motion is on the floor, and does anyone have any questions for the CAO? Councillor Cameron.
Yes, just a couple. On the very second heading under senior management team, the training will, page 1 of 5, second, the very second connotation. Accessibility training, either November 18th or November 25th. Has any times been posted on for that morning, afternoon, or is it an all-day session?
Through the chair, we are waiting to confirm what times exactly. We're hoping for the morning, but waiting for the trainer to confirm completely.
Okay, but the dates are firm, the 18th and the
Yes.
25th? Now, is this training, is it basically directed at staff level or at elected official level?
Through the chair, both.
Both levels. Okay, thank you very much.
And if I may, Mr. Chair, it's not likely to be more than a couple of hours.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll get reminders a little bit later. We can probably sort of save those dates in our calendars at the present time. Now, are there other questions?
Yes, I still have some more.
Go ahead.
On page 2, right in the middle, December and January schedule, I believe there's an error. Wednesday, December 19th, I believe that should read 18th.
Oh, sure.
Just a date?
Yeah, that's, yeah, I think Wednesday is the 18th on that, just to point that out.
Cheers.
And I just also want to just add to your, the brush and leaf collection, just like to mention for the gallery as well, that the brush and leaf will be accepted at the Scott Road Transfer Site, free of charge for the month of November. Thank you so much. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, and I have Deputy Mayor Deschamps and then Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The OMPF reduction of 110,000. From what I've been reading, almost all of our neighbors got increases. Is ours due to reduced assessments? I went on and tried to figure it out on the OMP funding, how it actually worked, and I couldn't actually figure it out, and it was too late at night to message anyone to find out what the heck I was doing. So, why?
To be honest with you, through the chair, Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I have not explored the why, but I believe it's because we have had some increased assessment.
Yeah.
So the formula,
So the formula changed because
our
we had
assessment,
an increase in assessment. So everybody else has had a
either flat or decreased.
decrease.
And
So by doing well, we get penalized.
There you go.
if I can
Sure.
add a little tiny bit to that, speaking to a representative of MPP Clark's office, Minister Clark's office, they have the same question, and that question has been referred to the Ministry of Finance for a detailed explanation. And I have assurances that when the response comes back from the Ministry of Finance, it will be shared with us.
Thank you.
But I should just point out on a larger picture that the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund, which has stood at around $505 million each of the last few years, has now this year been reduced because of the same kind of reasons that we're facing. In total, it's been reduced to about 500 million. And I'm going to say a little tiny bit more about it in my mayor's report. But clearly, this is part of the belt tightening, if I can put it that way. And so did that answer your question?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so now recognizing Councillor Dillabaugh.
Mine's the same, actually, is 110.5. Can we appeal that?
No,
No.
We cannot do
it's
anything
it's a
with
formula based, and the appeal is already in process insofar as the Ministry of Finance has been asked to recalculate and redo the formula to make sure that they've made no errors in the calculations, if I can put it that way.
So it's not an appeal, they're just double checking.
Yeah, just a double check, you're right.
Okay, thank you. I got one more and then I'll let you go. Modernization fund, the library is no further discussion. Are we looking at, you're saying Prescott's interested, Augusta hasn't jumped on board. Is there any future meetings, Deb?
With respect, actually, to be truthful, we had one planned for today, and then with former Mayor Disha's funeral this afternoon, staff was unable to attend the one in Prescott today, so we'll get, both the CAO and the mayor for Augusta Township have been out of the country for some time, so I believe the CAO is back to work today, so hopefully we'll get something going.
That's it, thank you.
Okay, so I have the motion on the floor to receive the CAO's administrative report as presented. Do you have another question?
No, more a comment. In going through this fully, I have to have a little laugh, I might say, at the very end with the mic drop. I loved it. No.
I wasn't sure anyone would notice.
I-
Thank you.
It was noticed.
It's okay, I'll show you later.
I'm not going to say that out loud. One thing that I would like to mention, though, before we deal with the motion, is to say to the incoming CAO that council has found these monthly CAO's administrative updates in this particular format. We've found them extremely interesting, very worthwhile, and keeps us abreast of things that don't always get discussed at committee meetings. So I'll just indicate that they've been very useful to us. So now I do have the motion on the floor to receive the CAO's administrative report as presented. Those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you. And now I'm at item number 13 on the agenda, which is council inquiries and/or notices of motion. So does anyone have notices of motion to bring forward?
I do.
Councillor Cameron.
Yes. I hope this is the right place to do this. So staff, through the chair, staff, if I'm out of line here, please tell me. I believe our last meeting last Monday, Mayor Seo had mentioned that he was hoping that someone on council would take over the fire call out and stand down problem that we have to one of the ministers at one of our upcoming conferences in 2020. I will take that burden on and see if we can, certainly see if we can get some changes to the current policy.
Well, that's good news. That's one thing off my plate.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
So, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, and so just, again, for the gallery, we perform fire response services on the 400 series highways for the province. And the province has a set rate, so much per vehicle, so much per man, so much per hour for each of the vehicles that we send in response. But we only get paid if we perform a service. And we find that about 50% of the calls that we respond to are waved off as we arrive at the scene, or we're stood down on the way to the scene. And the consequence of that is that we've responded, our volunteers have gone to their stations, got into their trucks, donned their gear, gone to the site, and then been waved away. And even though we invoice the province, we are deemed not to have provided a service, and we're not recompensed. So it's been an issue that's been outstanding for quite a number of years, and we've taken it to several ministers, and I'm pleased to hear somebody, it's been a sort of a bugbear of mine, but it's one of those things that I haven't been able to get very far with, so appreciate somebody else picking it up. Maybe you'll have more luck.
Hopefully.
Anybody else with inquiries or notices of motion? Okay, I have two things that I'd like to bring forward. And the first is, we have the Municipal Modernization Fund that we received last year for municipal modernization discussions. And throughout the last 4, 6, 8 months, we've committed small amounts of money to that, from that fund to various purposes, for purposes of modernizing the way we do business. So I'm wondering if I could ask for a staff report that would kind of summarize where we are at this point in time. And by the way, I know that one of the major commitments we've made from the fund is the service delivery review that the CAO has already reported on. So, so just if I could get a nodding of heads around the table to have someone from staff prepare a report that kind of would summarize where we are and what we've done, what we've allocated and what we've committed to allocate. So am I getting consensus? Good, thank you.
Sure.
And then last item that I'm going to bring forward, the CAO has reported that the staff is beginning their budget discussions, and so I'll signal to council now that at the Administration Finance Committee meeting coming up in November, I'm going to put an item on the agenda which will ask each of the councillors to make a comment or two about what you see as priorities, budget priorities for the upcoming year. I think that staff needs to hear a few comments from council before we get too far down that road. So this will be your opportunity at the Admin Finance Committee meeting to kind of put 1 or 2 pet projects forward or top priorities forward. Just for, we won't spend a lot of time debating them or discussing them. We'll just put them on the table and see how they fare out during the first draft of the budget. That concludes my notices of motion and inquiries. Is there anyone else that wants to add? If not, I'm moving to item 14 on the agenda, which is the mayor's report. And I just have a brief report. I've already spoken briefly about the OMPF funding. Everybody knows now that we're down by $110,500. And I just want to read the one sentence, if I can find it, and I can't, as to what the total reduction. As in prior years, transitional assistance continues to adjust in 2020 as fewer municipalities require this funding. Consequently, the 2020 OMPF will provide a total of $500 million to 389 municipalities across the province. So slowly municipalities are dropping off the eligibility list and the amounts being reduced. And we'll find out the full reasoning for that when we get the report from the MPP's office, from the Minister of Finance. I just want to report that this week, I had a meeting with HFI, John Witherspoon of HFI Pyrotechnics, formerly Hans Fireworks, changed its name quite a few years ago, and nothing but good news from HFI Pyrotechnics. My mayor's column this week will deal with my meeting with Mr. Witherspoon in detail, but suffice it to say, the good news is that HFI Pyrotechnics has renewed all of their U.S. Navy contracts, which will total something like $30 million over the next 5 years, and as well, they have their first contract from the Department of National Defense for $200 million, which will come in, I think it's $2 million, which will pay for product which they have to deliver in the next few months. So they've increased their staff by 10 people since August. They're now at about 61 employees, and the company's looking forward to a bright future, and the mayor's column will give more detail. Next item on the mayor's report, just one more reminder about the County Economic Development Summit on Friday, November the 22nd. Please get registered early, it will sell out. I'll be meeting with Clayton Jones, talked to him several times over the last week or so, but we've always been dealing with heavy issues of business, and I haven't yet gotten around to making a date with him to have the members of the Community Development Committee do a site tour on his site, but that's next on my agenda, and we will be discussing it. And the CAO has already reported about the public meeting for the JRDR drain, which will be held on November the 17th. Yes, November the 18th. Thank you very much. And that does constitute the mayor's report for this evening, and I'm calling on Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that Municipal Council receives the mayor's report as presented.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're at item number 15 on the agenda, which is question period. So questions from the audience. Generally, we allow the press first. So I see Mr. Martell is here. Okay, so any other questions from the gallery? Directed through the chair, of course. Hearing none. About to move on. And item number 16 on the agenda, we do have a closed session here this evening where we will be dealing in camera with a number of items concerning business issues and personnel matters. And so the motion to proceed into closed session will come in the open session, and then we'll have a break before proceeding into the closed session. Councillor Hunter, I believe you have the motion to go into the closed
myself,
session.
seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the Municipal Council proceed into closed session at 7:39 p.m. in order to address a matter pertaining to proposed or pending acquisition or disposal of land by the municipality or local board, specifically industrial land, personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically minutes of closed session dated September 9th, 2019, September 16th, 2019, and September 23rd, 2019.
Thank you very much. Those in favor of the motion to proceed into closed session, motion is carried. And we will have a closed session beginning in about 10 minutes. And then following the closed session, the council will arise from the closed meeting and report out to the gallery if there's anybody left. And so calling for a 10-minute adjournment.
Deputy Mayor Deschamps, closed meeting is now adjourned, and open meeting of council does now resume at 8:18 PM.
Okay, those in favor of arising from the committee session? Motion is carried. And so now reporting out from the closed session. So council reviewed the minutes of three closed meetings held on September the 9th, September the 16th, and September the 23rd. And it's moved by Councillor Cameron and seconded by Councillor Hunter that the minutes of those three special meetings, closed session, be adopted as circulated. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Now, reporting further from the closed session. There is a motion coming forward, moved by Councillor Dillabaugh and seconded by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that council authorizes the mayor and clerk to prepare and execute an offer of purchase for the vacant parcel of land at 3028 County Road 2, Part 1, on RP 15R-11728, as well as to Prisbian for 1 acre or less. Those in favor of the motion? That motion is carried. Okay, so that concludes the minutes of the business arising from the closed session. And now looking for the confirmatory bylaw.
That is me. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Hugh Cameron, that a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be now passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2019-72.
Those in favor? Motion is carried. We'll just read the confirmatory bylaw once. And so now the motion to adjourn, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron that the Municipality Council does now adjourn at 8:20 PM.
Those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion is carried.